What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. We are going to take a look at a BBC News interview with Owen Jones. The Labour activist is on the show because he was attacked outside a London pub by a group of guys recently. He tries to blame Tommy Robinson supporters, the far right, and anyone who disagrees with him generally, which I expect is most people, to be honest, but of course people should not attack this pile of soy. He is literally a threat to no one. Let's check out what he had to say.
Now, police are investigating after the Guardian journalist Owen Jones was kicked in the head by a group of men outside a pub. Mr Jones said he'd been celebrating his birthday with friends when the men made a direct beeline for him in the early hours of yesterday morning. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said an attack on a journalist was an attack on free speech and our fundamental values. The Metropolitan Police say it's working to establish the full circumstances.
Now, before we hear from Owen Jones, let's address what Jeremy Corbyn said there. An attack on a journalist is an attack on free speech. I'm not sure Jeremy Corbyn lives in the real world. Very few journalists defend free speech these days. They are more interested in pushing their biased agenda. I mean, take Owen the Soy Boy Jones here, for instance. This guy calls himself a journalist, but will in no way stand up for Brexiteers' free speech, or that of anyone who is not a Marxist Commissar Corbynov supporter. Tommy Robinson is a journalist, but I bet Corbyn has never came out and called attacks on him an attack on free speech. Of course not. Free speech is only free when you're saying what they want to hear. People like Tommy are fair game for being smeared in the eyes of the media and politicians, along with UKIP, of course. Also, let's not forget, Owen Jones is not a journalist. He's an activist who writes opinion pieces in The Guardian. Nothing more. He does not promote free speech, so it's not an attack on free speech. It's an attack on a soy boy activist who runs his mouth. These people should not have even bothered. It will just give him the chance to sit on the BBC talking the absolute crap you're about to hear now.
Owen Jones is with me now. Owen, thanks for coming in to talk about this. Just in terms of what happened, this is the early hours of yesterday morning, so you've been out for the evening. How were you approached by these men?
So we'd gone for a nightcap in the pub. So we left, about six of us. In fact, there were six of us at 3 a.m, and we were about 30 metres away. And I didn't see this because I had my back to the pub, but what happened was 3 to 4 men charged out of the pub, made a direct beeline for me, so they didn't attack any of my friends, kicked me in the back, threw me on the floor, and kicked me in the head and in the back. And my friends tried to wrestle them off and were all punched in the melee, and then they kind of scarpered off. Right. But there's no question whatsoever that it was me they were after. There was 6 of us standing there together.
But they went straight for you.
Exactly.
That's what your friends saw.
I was their target.
Yeah.
And the context of this is, and it's very important. This isn't just about me, by the way. But I've been on the receiving end of increasing far right attacks over the last year. James Goddard, the far right thug, followers of Tommy Robinson, so-called the convicted thug
for the EDL
of the far right thug.
Let me stop that there. Wow, Owen. Is anyone who does not like you part of the far right? I would bet his answer is yes. Anyway, the scenario he claims is, this idiot and his soy boy mates are drinking in a London pub. Given London is overwhelmingly Labour and according to the media, die-hard Remainers, I'm shocked he was actually attacked. But anyway, he claims when they leave this pub, they get about 30 or so metres away and 3 or 4 men charge out of the pub and went straight for our soy boy friend here. Gave him a kick in the back, threw him on the floor and kicked him in the head. I mean, him and 5 of his friends got overpowered by 3 or 4 guys. So that shows the level of men we are dealing with here when we talk about Owen and his friends. These guys who attacked him really need to evaluate their fighting abilities though. Let's be honest with ourselves. Fighting Owen Jones is like fighting a small child. It's a waste of time. Owen Jones ain't real and has likely never won a fight in his life. Of course he blames this on the far right because I'm sure the far right stalk you around London and sit in the pub with you waiting for you to leave. It could easily have been someone who does not like you and who are not the far right. I expect him and his friends are sitting in the pub talking their politics and calling everyone who does not agree with them Nazis or far right. Random guys drinking in the pub who don't like you does not mean they are far right. Please, Owen, don't be so ridiculous. I mean, most moderate leftists would think you're a worthless Marxist scumbag, so you don't have to be far right, do you? Of course, Owen then goes on to claim it's Tommy Robinson supporters and how Tommy is a convicted far-right thug. When last I checked, Tommy Robinson was convicted of breaching a reporting ban, not being a far-right thug. Nice little smear against Tommy there, with the ever impartial BBC host making sure to get Tommy's connections to the EDL out there. What a surprise. Let's move on to the next clip anyway.
In the street, so I've previously had people trying to punch me, spat down my face, yelling homophobic abuse. A few weeks ago, another far-right figure took pictures of me in a pub and posted online messages and a video along the lines of, I know where you are, we can always find you, we will get you. Unfortunately, for my friends, this was a case of, this is terrible, but this was going to happen. Yeah. And I think what's very important too is to understand that, I'm this white guy with a media platform. There are people out there, members of minorities in particular, who are being targeted and physically attacked. There is a rise of a increasingly violent far right in British society and abroad, which feels emboldened, which is increasingly violent. We've had the murder of a Labour MP, the attempted Joe Cox by a far right terrorist, another Labour MP Rosie Cooper, an attempted far-right terrorist attack on her. We had Darren Osborne, a far-right terrorist, who ploughed into a mosque. He said he wanted to kill Jeremy Corbyn and Sadiq Khan, and growing far-right terror plots. So for me, the context of, certainly in terms of, for me, it seems unthinkable this was anything other than politically motivated. But we have to talk about it more broadly.
Okay, so he starts that clip off discussing the abuse he gets from people. Sorry to have to say this to him, but it's part and parcel of being a public figure. While I don't agree with anyone attacking this soy boy, or anyone for that matter, I would have to say he has likely brought this on himself. Let's not forget this idiot runs around calling different groups of people he disagrees with Nazis, homophobes, racist and so on. A lot of people are going to have a real problem with that. Of course, Owen Jones has to prove his wokeness in this interview by pointing out he is a white man with a platform and minorities are being attacked out on the street as we speak. What the fuck has that got to do with your alleged attack? You're a white guy and I'm guessing you claim this attack was perpetrated by 3 other white guys. So what the actual fuck has it got to do with someone's race? What is it with the Labour Party and its activists thinking everything is race related or race should be added to every topic? Owen Jones being a dickhead is not a race thing. I'm sure other people from many other races think this guy is a piece of shit also. Everything is far right to this dickhead. When he is so far left, the left are now far right. He cites all of these far right situations while completely glossing over the leftist attacks on politicians here, Muslim suicide attacks, not just here but around the world, and the many other left-wing attacks in America that have killed many people. Blaming the extreme few on either side is just deflections from the truth, which is that Owen Jones is a shitweasel people don't like. Regardless of their political views, most people will think he's a complete tosspot, plain and simple. Let's check out the next clip though.
In terms of what happened yesterday morning, though, they didn't say anything to you.
I have to.
You can remember.
It was very difficult when you're suddenly on the floor being kicked in the head. I've had evidence since, which I can't discuss.
Right.
Which suggests
you talked to the police about.
Which suggests I can't talk about it, but which suggests political motivations.
Right, okay.
Hold the fuck on. The host points out something Owen has omitted until now. These people did not say a word to him before carrying out this alleged attack, yet he sits there calling these people far right. How does he know they are far right or why they attacked him if he does not know who they are or what they said? He claims he has now come across evidence since the attack, but he can't disclose it. You can tell he works for The Guardian. They never disclosed the alleged Boris Johnson beating up his missus tape they used to smear him during the leadership contest, so I expect Owen Jones's evidence will be the same as that. Non-existent when it comes to public scrutiny. In my opinion, you can tell he's lying through his back teeth though when the host asked him if he had sent this so-called evidence to the police. He responded with, he can't discuss it. Bollocks, mate. If you gave the police evidence, you can tell people that, you just can't tell them the details of the evidence. Based on the way he squirmed when answering that, and his refusal to say yes or no, I'd say it's likely he did not give evidence to the police at all. They probably found evidence of their own accord. Or he's talking about some Twitter troll that's decided to talk shit to him and he thinks that it's actually them. It's going to be something stupid like that. But regardless of that, surely the pub has CCTV since it's London. Every pub I know of has cameras in London. This happened in Islington, which let me tell you is full of cameras. This pub will have them, so if this happened it should be easy to find the people responsible and their motivation. But of course, Owen Jones claims he already knows it's politically motivated. I'm sure you do, fuckpig. Let's move on to the final clip.
But
the broader sense you have is that you have been aware of a growing tendency to threaten violence, and then also this is the kind of
the reality.
follow-up.
We should just be honest about it. We live in a society where on the front pages of newspapers you have things like enemies of the people, traitors, saboteurs. That's how people are discussed in politics. Where we have minorities having hatred whipped up against them. Unfortunately, by mainstream politicians, the President of the United States being a striking example, but also members of the British political elite as well. And what that does is fuel and embolden far-right thugs. They feel legitimised and emboldened by a wider context of the whipping up of hatred against minorities, but also against people on the political left, for example, who are seen as traitors. You know, when I was attacked earlier this year by James Goddard and others, they were yelling at things at me which were factually wrong, like Hamas lover, Hezbollah lover. Well, they've read that kind of stuff in the media. That's how people of my politics are described. So I just think we need to talk, when we talk about Islamic fundamentalism, we ask, who are the hate preachers radicalising these people? And the truth is, we have hate preachers in mainstream media outlets who are, and they are often mainstream media outlets, who are helping to radicalise and legitimise this rising threat, which we have to take seriously.
Owen Jones, thank you very much.
Okay, so he blames media reports calling people who want to wipe their arse with the largest Democratic vote traitors and collaborators for this attack, and his unsupported claims about the rise in violence against minorities. I'm not sure where these rises are happening, but I can tell you one thing, they're not happening in Islington, that's for sure. So what the fuck that has to do with him allegedly getting his ass kicked is a mystery to me. Of course, his excuse is Donald Trump, because to this worthless fuck pig, it's Orange Man bad for everything. Maybe you should blame the London mayor for allowing London to become a lawless shit pit. No, of course not. It's the US president's fault because you got your ass kicked in London, when you and your friends outnumber the alleged attackers. Yet, Donald Trump sent them to beat some soy out of you. What a dickhead this kid really is. He sits there whining about things people said which has no bearing on this event, since he did not hear these people say anything to him. So for all he knows, they could be anti-Corbyn Labour supporters or Liberal Femocrat supporters that are not happy with Labour's unwillingness to work with them to stop Brexit. I mean, this happened in Islington, for fuck's sake. How does he know these alleged attackers are not Muslims, since Islington has a fairly big Muslim community and Owen Jones is a gay man? Even if it was 3 or 4 Muslim men, Owen would still blame Nigel Farage, Trump, Boris Johnson for being far right. He moans about being a terrorist lover, but he's a big fan of Jeremy Corbyn. Let's not forget that it's well documented Jeremy Corbyn has shared platforms with terrorists before now, and he also attended IRA rallies in the 1980s. It's a case of guilt by association, Owen. Notice how leftist shitweasels don't like it when you turn their own tactics against them. I love it. I've been waiting for these situations to occur for a while now. Owen is right when he says the mainstream media are radicalising people though, but it's the media radicalising leftist fuckpigs like Owen and the other idiots we see foaming at the mouth over Brexit, Donald Trump, Tommy Robinson, UKIP and anyone else who happens to trigger them slightly. The media don't promote Brexit in any way, let alone anything remotely far right, so I'm not sure what planet this dickhead actually lives on, but it's not this one for sure. In reality, we know that the media is massively biased in his favour. Now, as I said earlier, I don't agree with people attacking this septic spot on the arse of humanity. It's not worth it, and that is not the way to defeat his ridiculous ideology. That being said, I do have to say after watching this interview, I'm highly sceptical of his account on this alleged attack. In my opinion, it either did not happen, or he is keeping something from us regarding how it happened, who the perpetrators were, or why it happened. Of course, people like Owen Jones will blame the far right for everything, as you see throughout this interview, even bringing Tommy Robinson into it, talking shit about the reason he is in prison with the host joining in, to the surprise of absolutely no one. Well, I'm going to end the video there anyway. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe and share this video as it helps the channel a lot, and I will see you all in the next one.